Sometimes you know a queen is going to slay a lip sync. Other times, it can come as a bit of a surprise. And that's what today's video is all about. Welcome to Wild Spear, where today we'll be counting down the 9 most surprising lip sync assassins in Drag Race history. For this video, I'm not talking about All Stars lip sync assassins because we know those choices were all over the place. Instead, we'll be talking about the queens who on their seasons were surprisingly good at lip syncing. And for whatever reason, they just didn't get the perception of being a great performer prior to them dropping into the bottom. In some cases, a queen had to lip sync multiple times before the rest of the cast realized just how much of a threat they were if they landed in the bottom with them. Let's get started. The first queen on today's list I'm putting on here not because she was an unexpectedly great performer, I just don't think many fans or queens thought about her much on her season. Candy Ho, was on season 7 of Drag Race, ending up placing in the 10th position after sending home 2 queens. Candy is one of the most invisible queens in Drag Race history, and still to this day, I have a hard time remembering what she looks like when people talk about her. That didn't stop her from being a great lip syncer on season 7 though. Candy's journey got off to a rough start where she ended up in the bottom for the Born Naked challenge, up against Tempest DuJour. This win wasn't particularly surprising given the song was Geronimo by RuPaul, and Tempest was one of the oldest queens to appear on Drag Race at that point. That song is designed for a queen who could really dance. 4 episodes later, Candy ended up in the bottom again against another older queen, Mrs. Kasha Davis. And I don't know if this is considered elder abuse or not, but Candy knocked out Mrs. Kasha Davis just like she did with Tempest to Tina Marie's Lover Girl. At this point, the judges were getting pretty annoyed because Candy was not killing any of the challenges, and she wasn't giving the judges any sort of a soundbite or anything to keep people interested or paying attention to her. They said that Pearl was sleepwalking her way through the competition, while Candy Ho may as well have been a zombie. She finally was knocked out when she competed against Jaidyn Dior Fierce to break free, and only because the judges knew they had to get rid of this lip sync assassin. Candy dropped into the bottom for the Rue Hollywood Stories challenge, which is one of my favorite challenges in Drag Race, the Whatever Happened to Merle Ginsburg. Despite Jaidyn doing pretty okay in the challenge, the queen in the low position, Miss Fame, was not a great lip syncer. The producers knew that if Miss Fame ended up in the bottom here with Candy, Candy was going to send her home, especially because Ariana Grande was the guest and the lip sync was Break Free. They couldn't risk Candy sending home another queen when nobody even remembered that she was competing. So Jaidyn out lip synced Candy and we lost her on season 7. Candy, though, will still be remembered as one of the most invisible queens in Drag Race history, but also as one of the lip sync assassins of season 7, if you can remember that she was there. Speaking of forgettable things, Drag Race Down Under season 3 is kind of a forgotten season. We didn't get a lot of huge standout moments, and the winner seemed pretty predictable from the start. It did give us some great queens like Bumpa Love, Floor, and the next lip sync assassin on this list, Gabriella Labucci. Gabriella was kind of the quirky queen of the season. Her entrance look let us know right away that she was not a queen who was going to show up in gowns on the runway. She was going to do it her own way. We've seen other quirky queens be lip sync assassins on other seasons, but Gabriella was not somebody that I feel like people pegged to do well on lip syncs throughout the season. The first lip sync that she appeared in was the Final 5 against Bumpa Love for the Drag Brunch Challenge, and she was fine. Bumpa was not the strongest lip syncer, so Gabriella won this one pretty easily. The reason that I have Gabriella on this list was her performance in the Final 4 against Hollywood Star. For that lip sync, the two were lip syncing to Not About You by Haiku Hands, which I don't know who these people are, I'm not from Down Under, but that song was an out of left field choice. The song was quick, it had dancing, and it had a lot of lyrics. For someone like Hollywood Star, who we had already seen win 2 performance challenges, the Premiere Challenge where the queens wrote and performed verses to a RuPaul tracks, as well as the BMX Girl Group Challenge, Hollywood was the performer of the season. And even though she had never fallen in the bottom 2, I think many fans thought she was going to win this lip sync. That was until Gabriella turned the Labucci on. Gabriella knew the words and she could dance in ways that I don't think many people thought she could. And it was this moment that I think Gabriella truly set herself up as competition for Isis for the crown that season. And this is where she set herself up as the lip sync assassin of season 3. One thing that makes an unexpected lip sync assassin can be their personality. Dakota Schiffer was sort of a shy, soft-spoken personality, or at least she was during the first episode of UK Series 4. Dakota seemed a bit unsure of herself throughout that first episode, not sure if she belonged, not sure if her looks were up to par, and it showed during her performance on the runway. Dakota had a wake-up call during the Premiere Challenge where she landed in the bottom versus Just May. For the first challenge, the queens had to present 2 looks, one that was dedicated to the BBC, and the other that was dedicated to showcasing their own drag. While Just May likely had the worst looks of the week, Dakota really struggled to set herself apart. This landed her in the bottom where she clearly knocked out Just May in a great performance to Let Them Know by Mabel. Just May was not a strong performer, so it wasn't a huge surprise that Dakota was able to take her out for this performance. I think where she truly cemented herself as a lip sync assassin was on the 5th episode of the series, the Larry Poppins Rusical. When she faced off against her former partner Baby, she surprised everyone. Baby had just knocked out Sminty Drop the episode before and was the standout of her girl group performance a few episodes before. Dakota had her work cut out for her, especially to a song like No Way from the musical 6. Baby knew how to dance, she knew how to emote, and she knew how to perform. But do you know who else was able to do all those things and was just hiding her cards? That was Dakota Schiffer. Well, she couldn't move the way that Baby could, she could put the emotion into the song, and she added jokes. She even walked off stage only to come back stronger during the lip sync. And while Baby announced that she would be leaving due to mental health concerns after the performance, I stand to think that Dakota likely would have won that lip sync had it not been the case. Or at least we would have seen a double Shantae. Dakota was eventually sent home during the makeover challenge versus Pixie Polite, despite the fact that she had one of the better makeovers of the week, but that's a story for another video. And I have that other video. Watch it, I linked it here. From the soft-spoken queen that we saw on episode 1 to one of the lip-sync assassins of the season, Dakota was truly one of the most shocking lip-sync assassins in Drag Race. And it seems like every season of Drag Race UK has some sort of a lip-sync assassin. The most apparent lip-sync assassin who in my opinion won all of her lip-syncs was DeDeLicious from Series 5. She was from the same house as one of the previous winners, Crystal Versace, where she herself said Crystal was sex on legs while Dee was a clown on stilts. She knew how to sew, she knew how to paint, but she struggled with some of the performing parts of Drag Race despite being a dancer. She was a part of the Winning Girl Groups challenge, but she did struggle in most of the other performance-based challenges, like the Rusical. In the Rusical, that was where she first landed in the bottom versus fan favorite Banksy. Banksy had won the second challenge of the season, the Design Challenge, where she knocked out Dee in something that Dee does best. Dee was able to exact her revenge, though, to I Dreamed a Dream by Susan Boyle, of all songs. It's not often that we get a ballad like that on Drag Race, but Dee really sold it. And I was surprised that she was able to send someone like Banksy home so early in the season. She proved she could do ballads, but could she do upbeat dance songs? That very next episode was the Snatch Game, and after a less than stellar performance, she landed in the bottom with Vicki Vivacious, another queen who was a challenge winner. With Vicki being one of the frontrunners of the season, Dee Dee had her work cut out for her, but that didn't stop her from knocking out Vicki to Heartbreak on Hold by Alexandra Burke, a complete shift from I Dreamed a Dream by Susan Boyle. Vicki had to go home in one of my favorite looks of this season, but Dee Dee for sure was the winner of that lip sync. And after a 1-week break of not landing in the bottom, Dee Dee was back where she belonged. Maybe not where she belonged, but she was back in the bottom with the Makeover Challenge. This time she was up against Kate Butch, somebody who was not a known lip syncer or performance, but Kate had been doing great in the competition. She won the acting challenge the week before, and I don't know what Dee Dee was thinking, but when she saw that she was up against a queen who had won one challenge, she was like, yep, I already did it to Vicki, I already did it to Banksy, let's knock out Kate too. This time it was to This Hell by Rina Sawayama, and Dee Dee knocked out one of the fan favorites of the season. She broke the curse by winning 3 lip syncs and was headed to the top 4. She finally was taken out by Tamara Thomas at the final 4 to Annie Lennox's Little Bird, but she had a great run and one that I don't think a lot of fans expected, especially for a queen who had 0 challenge wins. I don't think many fans thought that Dee Dee Licious, from the same house as Crystal Versace, was going to become the lip sync assassin of UK Series 5. Especially on a season with Caramel, Tamara Thomas, and even Michael Maruli, Dee Dee was the lip sync assassin. The 5th most unexpected lip sync assassin may not have been a complete surprise to fans who watched her original season, but was a surprise to the Drag Race community as a whole. On Drag Race Sweden, Vanity Vane won 2 lip syncs, sending home Antonia Nutshell and Elektra. When she returned for Global All-Stars, many fans had not seen Drag Race Sweden, so they didn't know what to think of Vanity Vane. When Vanity won the first episode, she was placed in the top 2 with Eva LaQueen from Drag Race Philippines. When Vanity won the first episode, she was placed in the top 2 with Eva LaQueen from Drag Race Philippines. The top 2 lip-synced together to Paranoia by Donna, and Vanity came out on top. However, upon returning to the workroom, the queens were not feeling Vanity's lip sync. I don't think it's very often that the other queens shade the winner of a lip sync for their performance, or at least that we see on screen, but that's exactly what happened to poor Vanity after she won a lip sync. I think at this point, fans, especially those that had never seen Vanity's original season, were not expecting much of her throughout Global All-Stars when it came to lip syncing. Little did they know that she would fall into the bottom 4 more times throughout the season and send home fan favorites like Miranda Labarrio, Dalavaro, and Pathia. And honestly, every time that she won, it was a justified win. Vanity's first experience in the bottom was for the Girl Group Challenge, where she competed against Miranda to Spice Up Your Life by the Spice Girls. She went on to win this lip sync and continued on until she reached the Snatch Game. For the Snatch Game, she competed against Galavaro in the bottom 2 to Mana Mana by the Muppets, which is one of the funnest songs that they've ever done as a lip sync. Gala was the established lip sync assassin at this point, so I don't think a lot of people expected Vanity to win this lip sync. At the end, Vanity did dominate this lip sync, taking it a different direction than Gala, and she moved on, establishing herself as a lip sync assassin in her own right. For the next challenge, she competed in the Roast, where she lip synced against Pathia, who was one of the fan favorites of the season. This was the I Drove All Night lip sync, which was one of the best lip syncs of the season, and even can compete with Priyanka and Kiara's amazing lip sync from Canada Season 1. By eliminating Pythia here, Vanity established herself as the #1 lip-sync assassin of Global All-Stars. She eventually was sent home by Kitty Scott-Claus to Believe by Cher after a week makeover, but not after she came away as the surprise lip-sync assassin of Global All-Stars. She may have started pretty weak with her first lip-sync, but she turned it around, and now I don't think there's anybody out there that will say that Vanity is not a great lip-syncer. The next queen on my list I'll be including because she is somebody who was really underappreciated by the queens during her initial run. Canada Season 1 was a mess, we all know that, but in spite of the mess, we got some amazing challenges, amazing queens, and some amazing lip syncs. 2 of those lip syncs came from that underappreciated queen I mentioned before, Rita Baga. Rita was not a fan favorite on Canada Season 1, simply because production seemed to be pushing her and the fans didn't appreciate that. When she won the first episode in that blue tube dress, it was all downhill for Rita, unfortunately. She did perform exceptionally well throughout the season until the final 5 when she dropped into the bottom for the makeover challenge with Lemon. Lemon was a huge fan favorite, and Rita was competing against Lemon. The fandom already picked Lemon as the winner. The lip sync performance was to You Oughta Know by Alanis Morissette, and I think this may be one of the best lip syncs in Canada Drag Race history. Rita started out by ripping her contacts out of her eyes and flicking them onto the stage. She was ready to fight. And as somebody who wears contacts, I don't know how she did this without a mirror. I need a mirror to put them in and out every single day, so she already won at that point. But if that wasn't enough, she emoted the song in a way that regardless of how good Lemon's dancing was, Rita clearly won the lip sync. Lip syncing is about understanding the song and understanding what the song is saying, feeling the emotion behind it. There's no better example of doing just that than what Rita did with this song. And this isn't even to mention her lip sync against Jimbo to Closer by Tegan and Sara, but then again it was against Jimbo, so she was probably going to win anyway. But the fact that she sent home Lemon, one of the best lip syncers of the season, and Jimbo, the #1 fan favorite of the season, Rita is an unexpected lip sync assassin and deserved to be there. Even though people might not say it, there can tend to be a general perception in Drag Race that queens have one main skill set. They could be a seamstress, they could be a dancer, they could be a host. So when one queen is great at more than one of those things, it may come as a shock to some fans. On season 13 of Drag Race, we got a taste of just how good queens were at lip syncing right from the get-go. The season started with the queens going in and performing in head-to-head lip syncs where one queen would stay in the competition and the other would be sent to the pork chop loading dock. Obviously, these queens were able to re-enter the competition a few weeks later, but what it really gave us, and mainly the judges and producers, was a taste of just how good these queens were at lip syncing from the very start. One of the queens who was sent to this pork chop loading dock was Utica Queen, who lost her first lip sync to Gottmik to Lindsay Lohan's Rumors. I won't bring up the rumors that Gottmik had this song in her audition tape, but at the end of the day, Utica lost her first lip sync. When Utica ended up in the bottom 2 after a rough snatch game as Bob Ross, I don't think many fans expected her to stand a chance against Elliott with 2 T's. Elliott had sent home one of the best lip syncers of the season, LaLa Ri, earlier that season. And while I don't think Elliott put her all into this lip sync, Utica certainly did win that lip sync. I think the queens were surprised at how successful Utica was in this performance of Fascinated by Company B. This performance alone, though, wasn't enough to earn her the title of Lip Sync Assassin. That would come 2 episodes later when she was competing against Tina Burner to My Humps by the Black Eyed Peas. Great lip sync song. If you're looking at these queens on paper, you probably got Tina Burner, a seasoned performer, and then Utica Queen as a seasoned seamstress. The choice seemed pretty clear going in. Most would have their money on Tina, but Utica being Utica, she knew how to play to her strengths. This week's runway was the Beast runway, which saw the queens coming out in various animal or monster style looks. Utica knew that her look was creepy and gaggy, and she could use that to her advantage. Utica assassinated Tina to this performance by being a creepy, spooky monster that we know that she is. She would eventually be sent home to Simone, to No Tears Left to Cry by Ariana Grande, but when you're sent home to the eventual winner of the season, that doesn't change much. You'll still be a lip sync assassin. And I was pretty close to putting Utica at number 1 on this list, maybe because I just love that My Humps lip sync so much. But at the end of the day, Utica was an unexpected surprise given how she started this season to how she ended up. Like Vanity, some queens who become lip sync assassins did so on their second performance of Drag Race. Most queens don't go on All Stars for a redemption with their lip syncs, but sometimes that's a side effect. All Stars 6 was a recipe for a lip sync redemption. When it aired in season 11, the lip sync between Nina and Silky Nutmeg Ganache was considered one of the worst lip syncs in Drag Race history. Silky really couldn't shake the image that she was a bad lip syncer after that performance for quite some time. When she returned for All Stars 6, Silky returned as a completely different person. She was shy, she was timid, she was not the outspoken Silky that we knew from season 11. And most likely that was because of the fan backlash she got after that season. Unfortunately, Silky stayed that way for the majority of her run until she was eliminated just 3 episodes into that season. All Star 6, though, had the lip sync tournament twist, which saw the eliminated queens lip sync for a chance to stay in the competition week over week. While Jiggly Caliente won the first lip sync, Silky went on to win almost every other lip sync after that. She lip synced 7 times during her run, including a solo lip sync to Barbie Girl by Aqua. Silky took on songs from Girls Just Wanna Have Fun to Cyndi Lauper, to the Song for the Lonely by Cher, to Heartbreaker by Pat Benatar, before finally being eliminated to Since You've Been Gone by Kelly Clarkson up against Eureka. Silky also had a way of finding out how to keep these lip syncs interesting. We'd never seen a queen lip sync this much in a single season, so she couldn't just rely on the same tricks every single time. Whether she was making a drink while she was lip syncing or she was doing a face reveal during a performance, she found a way to keep the judges and fans captivated every single time. Silky redeemed her reputation in a single episode, which not a lot of queens are able to do. With all these reveals, I think it's pretty safe to say that she redeemed that awful wig reveal that she had on season 11. And if there was anyone who the queens expected to be a lip sync assassin on All Stars 6, they might have thought Trinity K. Bonet, they could have thought Raja O'Hara, maybe Kylie Sonique Love. I don't think many people thought Silky would be the one. But here she is, and she is our number 2 lip sync assassin. Sometimes the most unexpected lip sync assassin depends on how late into the season we see them lip sync. And that's why at number 1 on my list of unexpected lip sync assassins is, of course, Sasha Velour from season 9. On season 9, Sasha did great throughout. She did land in the low placement once during the season, but she was never bad enough in a challenge to land in that bottom 2. Giving her okay performance in the Rusical, I don't think many people expected her to do much when it came to that final lip sync. At the end of the day, fans thought this was Shea Couleé's season to win. Well, we all know what happened next. As rose petals fell down on that stage, Sasha cemented herself as one of the greatest lip syncers in Drag Race history. And even though she only lip synced twice, both of them were show-stopping performances. And still to this day, she nails lip syncs wherever she goes. If you haven't seen her lip sync to J-Lo's Waiting for Tonight as a chair, then you don't understand what true talent is. And that's why I have Sasha Velour as the most unexpected lip sync assassin in Drag Race history. Sometimes you just need to make it to the end and show people what you're made of. And that's what Sasha did. And there we have it. Those are the 9 most unexpected lip sync assassins in Drag Race history. What do you think? Did I miss anyone? Is there anybody who was a lip sync assassin that you just didn't see going in? Let me know in the comments, and stay tuned for more things here on Wild Spear.